Shame whispers that she's the problem. Guilt says she made one. For many women, the line between the two blurs until it becomes a trap. A cycle of self-blame, silence, and emotional exhaustion. While guilt can be a guidepost for growth, shame is a cage. One reinforced by societal expectations, cultural norms, and internalized narratives that tell women they must be perfect, pleasing, and never too much. This isn't just about feelings, it's about freedom. And it starts with understanding the difference.
How would you differentiate shame and guilt?
I love that question. Although I'm not someone who's researching on this or neither a subject matter expert, but from a broader perspective, all I know about is shame has more to do with your overall sense of worth, while guilt is tied to specific actions that one undertakes.
Yeah, I agree. And, a lot of people will have different definitions for what shame is for themselves, but I think we can all agree that shame and guilt are two very different emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
Why do you think shame is so powerful in shaping behaviors, especially for marginalized women?
Love that, because honestly, when it comes to shame, as I said, it's more of tied to your sense of worth. So now, for numerous podcast episodes, we've been talking about women dealing with the issues of worth. Not feeling worthy enough, not feeling adequate enough, not feeling competent enough. And more of that also comes from the society and the way we are fueled with it. So, if you suck at something, or if you do something which is beyond the norm, people would say that, natural to feel ashamed, when in reality that's not natural and it's not normal to feel ashamed, because you are giving yourself a message that, my worth is just useless. I just lack self-worth. And that's the very close tie between those two. I think the major journey really starts from realizing that fact that yes, I feel in a certain way, and that's why it's so easy for me to be a victim of. Feeling ashamed of a lot of things that I do.
I mean, I also think it can kind of tie into this debate of like nature versus nurture, right? If you grow up in a household where you were taught to be ashamed of yourself, if you made a mistake, shame on you. Shame on this, shame on that. That's the way you were raised. You will feel ashamed. It's not even a matter of like, you never had a chance to grow your self-worth.
Exactly.
So how will you ever even realize what's wrong? You won't. You'll just be like, shame, like I'm used to this, right? I wanted to ask you, what role do you think shame plays in toxic relationships? Especially, when talking about keeping them trapped or quiet.
Can you elaborate more on this?
So how do you think in toxic relationships, the abuser typically uses shame to keep the other person trapped?
Love that. I think this pretty much ties to my own research that I've been doing. And I would really cite violence as one of the key components here, where a lot of shame is centered around it. Oh, stay hush. Don't just pretend everything is fine in your relationship, because if you say it, it's going to be a matter of shame on you that, as a woman, you're not being able to preserve your family. You're not able to keep them together. So just bear it and everything will be fine. And that is how we actually run this entire cycle, just by creating a culture of shame around, and everyone is like, everything is good, You can really see the bruises on your face, and other people can notice that, but still the way we are pretending that, everything is okay, everything is fine. And that is how we encourage the cycle of abuse in the first place. And secondly, the shame around that, which is centered, and women blame themselves for what is happening to them. Honestly, I would clearly mention this when I was in an abusive professional relationship, I would say. I blamed myself for being in that situation. And again, the shame around this, what if, everyone tells me, maybe, it's the problem with this woman rather than the person who is perpetrating the abuse. So I do get that. And when you are dealing with a sense of low self-worth,
Yeah.
It's very easy for the abuser to keep you trapped in abuse.
No, I agree. I mean, it's, you know, I really think it's funny because when you think about shame, I think you'll typically associate it to women feeling shame. And I really believe it's because of these reinforced gender roles. Like, let's say someone's in an unhappy relationship. If I leave, then I failed.
Exactly.
Role.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just, you know, it's gotten to this point that this is just wired in us. It's like, I failed, shame. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's insane when you think about it. This is just how it's been for generations and generations. If a family fails, it's a woman's fault. Immediately.
Very true.
And she will beat up herself over it, right? She's gonna be like filled with shame. The guy will go on, will have his friends and everything.
And which start family, right?
Exactly. She is probably gonna start isolating herself. She's gonna be
Exactly, yeah.
drowning in the feeling of shame. And it's just crazy to me that this is so interconnected with so many other things. And how do you think we can begin to dismantle this internalized shame, whether that be in friendships, families, or communities?
Would you like to have a best friend in your life?
Yes, sure.
And probably numerous people listening to this. My first thing is, forget about the people. Can you be your best friend? Because when things like these come in your life, when you're literally trained and wired with that sense of shame, who's going to come at your rescue? Someone external? You call your favorite person, you call your friend up, and she's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm busy, sorry. I'm really trapped in my own shitty things. And then what happens to you?
You stay there?
No one. I'm helpless. You know, the reason I said this is when you learn to be your own best friend, and when you learn to share the deepest, darkest truths with yourself, that is where the power comes in. That is where the decision making comes in. That is where you know when to step out. For a very long time, I was someone who was detached from myself. I'm not saying like, yes, I was into spirituality. I've been doing this for 5 years now. But to really, really get into the essence of who am I and why should I take a stand for myself came not from the external side. Nobody came to and held my hand and out and we'll walk out of this together. No, that didn't happen to me. It was when I made a decision to step out. Many women think, oh, well, yeah, we need to have social support systems. Yes, we do. But believe me or not, you are your first person who's going to rescue out of anything in life. You are your greatest cheerleader, and you can also be your greatest critic. So now the choice is yours. You keep yourself trapped. Nothing can stop, nothing can keep you in a trapped or abusive relationship until you agree to that yes, I want to stay in this.
Yeah. How do you think that if someone who doesn't have any resources, let's say, you know, who's trapped in this, and I know you said, you know, you're your biggest protector in some ways, but let's say someone has no social support or anything like that and is stuck in a very bad situation and filled with shame, how does one break free from that? How does one realize this, that, you know, I need to step out when you've never been taught, never seen this before?
Lovely. I think it's not just one person, there are numerous other people listening to this and probably going through this. My question for everyone is, what do you feel inside your body? That's the first signal you get. You know, the emotions, anytime that you feel anger, frustration, envy, sadness, emotions are not bad. They're just messages. They're telling you something. How many of us really take time and sit with that? Oh, well, yeah, I'm feeling sad. Netflix. I'm feeling sad. Social media. I'm feeling sad. Call my mom. Hey, mom, I'm not feeling okay. Those are just painkillers. Antibiotics. They're not going to uproot the main root cause of your problem. They're only going to be like, okay, you know, there's a fire, get the extinguisher, you're done for the time being.
Yeah.
Start with yourself. You have problem to understand that you were in a state of shame, please listen to your body. Please take time for yourself, be with yourself, sit with yourself. You will feel some sensations in your body. Everyone does. Any kind of somatic symptoms that we have. Oh, my back is aching, my shoulders are paining, my head is aching. What are those? What are those? Those are all accumulated emotions. Those are all accumulated negative thoughts that have been trapped, and now the body is going to show the repercussions of it. The body is going to show the effect.
Yeah, I mean, your body's for sure going to be the first one to tell you that, something's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, your body's definitely going to react to the situation you're in. So we talked about how, shame is reinforced by gender roles.
Yeah.
How do you think society uses shame as a control mechanism, more specifically when policing gender, sexuality, and appearance?
This is a very interesting question, and my mind is just racing with so many thoughts right now, because when you just mentioned this, I think it really starts with like very simple things. You say, for example, if like in a very, very conservative culture, I would say, if a girl starts driving or playing a sport game, and probably she has to dress up the way everyone else does, and where women are expected to cover their body entirely, she won't feel proud of something that she's doing. Rather, she's going to feel ashamed because here, even if the person doesn't walk up and say anything to them, the way they're going to look at her.
Yeah.
If she's driving, I have personally witnessed this. If you're driving in certain areas and the way you looked at, you don't feel proud of, wow, I'm doing this. You start feeling ashamed. Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah.
You don't feel proud of, well, yeah, I'm the first person from my family who's going to play this sport game with all other males in this team. You start feeling ashamed of yourself, your own body. Well, this is not suiting. In fact, there was a movie from Bollywood, Dangal, I believe. It's a. I'm not here to, of course, to patronize certain movies or cultures, but this movie actually taught us about the father who was fighting for his girls, and they were to be sent to sports teams, and the coach was like, I believe it was a coach or someone, and the person was like, well, you should get your daughters married off. Why are you wasting your time sending them? So somewhere, when girls hear about this, they feel ashamed that, oh, our dad is being dealt with in that manner.
Yeah.
And it's because of us. And we are so bad. And that's where the sense of shame comes in.
Yeah.
So society is not going to come and tell you, hey, you should be ashamed. They reinforce and they play those roles in such a way that it's going to make you feel ashamed of yourself.
I really love that you said that, because I really believe that shame is silent.
100%.
No one, maybe your mom one day will be like, oh, like, you should be ashamed of yourself, you failed this test or whatever. But society
those occasions are very rare.
Yeah, but society-wise, it'll always be silent.
Always.
And it's so powerful that you don't need a word to see it. You don't need anything physical to see it. You'll feel it.
Exactly. You can
everywhere.
feel it, right?
Yeah, immediately you'll feel it. And I love that you brought up that movie. It's, even then, it was the dad's decision to let his girls play sports. And yet, somehow, the shame was upon the woman, not the dad.
Yeah.
Even then, even if it was the father's decision, it doesn't matter. Somehow, shame always falls onto the women. And I'm curious, I'm like, do men feel shame? Like, has this, like, it's crazy to say, but I'm like, honestly, it's like, I feel like it's always girls are like, oh, like, I'm so ashamed I did this, Like, why? Why is it so wired that it's immediately like the girl? Why do we feel that we need to feel ashamed? And it's so frustrating, because even right now I'm saying this, but I know at some point, like maybe in a week, in a month, in 2 years, something will happen and I'll feel ashamed. I'm like, oh, I did this. But no guy around me will be feeling ashamed. And I'm like, I hate that that it's so normal to think this way. I hate it, because it's, you know it, but it's like an immediate reaction. You can be you need to be aware to a whole other level, which I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'll ever be, to not be able to feel that shame because it's so powerful.
My simple question for you is, have you ever heard about being unapologetically you?
Yes.
That's how you deal with shame.
I get that. I do. But I feel like it's so much easier said than done.
That's the thing.
It's so...
The rewarding and the most exclusive power that you're going to have, that path is never easier. If things were easier, then well, yeah, if money making was easy, then just sit at your home and make it.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, logically, I know this, and I would probably tell my friends this as well, right? But like me, myself, personally, I'm someone who's very hard on myself. Very, very hard on myself.
That's the exact thing where you have to start the change from.
I know. But I will say it has helped me. I have progressed very much by being hard on myself, which sounds a little weird, but like I've achieved a lot of things that I wouldn't have it if I didn't force myself to.
Okay.
So I'll put that out, but I will say it does make it more difficult to not listen to other people's opinions.
My question for you is, are you happy after being hard on yourself?
At the
in
moment,
terms of your internal state of being.
At this moment, yes, I'm happy with where I am.
Will you be happy 5 years later?
If I keep going the way I'm going, yes, I will.
Well, we're going to really chat back
5 years later, we're going to come back
on
here.
this platform, and I'm going to ask you, are you still happy? Because honestly, when I was the same person, being hard on myself, you know what? I achieved the best thing I could have. I'm not saying that I'm here sitting all achieved with everything. But honestly, I've literally had whatever I wanted in my life. And once I realized I still feel hollow and empty.
I mean, I think, is it the best way to deal with life being hard on yourself? Absolutely not. Yes, I'm happy now. I wasn't always happy. I've had really rough times. But I think if you know how to control your thoughts, it sounds weird, but if you know how to, boundaries in your head, basically. If you know how to set up these boundaries,
Love
it's
that.
like, okay, there's being, there's criticism and then there's constructive criticism. True. I think I've reached the point where I can give myself constructive criticism without self-destructing.
Lovely. And when, in fact, we say, establish boundaries with people. I don't say establish boundaries with people. I say establish boundaries in your life and exactly boundaries in your own mind. When do you start sabotaging yourself in terms of the dirty and critical, dirty criticism that you give to yourself? So having that boundary, of course, it does make sense. And I really love that. Let's come 5 years later and really talk about
it again.
in terms of inner being you are.
All right, we kind of derailed from our topic a little bit, but I love this little snippet of conversation. I will just say, what would you give a message out to people who are struggling with, not to people, to women specifically who are struggling with this feeling of shame?
Oh, this one is like,
Just like one sentence, one small little sentence.
I would say, I would use an analogy here. So I'm gonna take a few sentences, not just one. A tree sheds its leaves and completely gets dry during the winters. And we think, oh, well, the tree's going to die. And for women out there, when you feel a sense of shame, and probably in this state, know that your leaves are going to be back on you. And it's a cycle. It's okay to feel ashamed if you do. But know that your sense of worth is not defined by the external things around you or by the sense of shame. It's more like clouds passing by. Look up in the sky and see that cloud. It's just gonna go. But don't cling on to that cloud.
That was really beautiful.
I just mix nature and trees and clouds.
No, but I like it.